Here's the quandary that I find myself in. The Department of Justice's record of actually enforcing current gun laws is, you'll forgive me by saying it's abysmal. For example, people who lie on background checks are not being investigated or prosecuted with any sort of uniformity or reliability. Matter of fact, there's out of 76,000 denied background checks, the FBI referred to the Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco and Firearms. A verdict or plea was reached in 13 cases. Then the 2008 law that Congress passed, which encouraged the states to send to the federal government for adjudicated mentally ill persons that could be included on the background check, that has been a very spotty record of compliance by the states. So we have people who've been adjudicated mentally ill will not show up on a background check because that 2008 law has not been adequately enforced. And then there's this, and I'll quit, Madam Chair. We see a number of states like Connecticut, for example, that have much more restrictive gun laws where some of these tragedies have occurred and they've not stopped it. And you even have countries like Mexico where you've had 60,000 people killed as a result of drug cartel activity. In other words, criminals are not they're not stopped by restrictions on law-abiding citizens. And it's just not clear to me that passing more laws that will not be enforced enthusiastically by the department, and you look at the studies that have been done on the previous assault weapons ban, and no evidence that it actually had any impact whatsoever. You say it needs more study, and that's fine. Well, I'd be interested in what the study reveals, but I just call me skeptical that passing this assault weapon ban would have any real impact, given the fact that criminals are going to continue to get guns and the lack of enforcement by the department. Thank you, Madam Chairman. You've been very indulgent.
Thank you very much, Senator.
Madam Chairman, may I respond?
Yes,
I know
yes,
that
you
time
certainly
is out.
may.
I have in response to your point, Senator, I have just a couple of, I think, really important things that need to be said here today. First of all, I could not disagree more strongly that the Department of Justice is not aggressively enforcing existing firearms laws. We spend an enormous amount of time, effort, energy, talent, skill, and frankly, sleepless nights enforcing those laws. If you take a look at 2012, total number of criminal prosecutions brought by the Department of Justice was in the vicinity of 85,000. Of those, 12,000, 1 in 7, involved firearms charges. In Colorado, a couple weeks ago, we did a similar assessment for 2012. And in Colorado, close to 1 in 5 of the criminal prosecutions that we bring are cases involving firearms charges. Now, what are those cases? Those cases are those in which a criminal actually has and uses a firearm. We have limited resources. I know everyone in this room understands that the federal government, just like state and local authorities, have limited resources to address these things. As a prosecutor, and as the prosecutors in my office consider cases, we go for the worst of the worst. And the worst of the worst cases are the ones in which a bad guy has actually got a gun. That's where we focus our attention. Now, I acknowledge that that paperwork violations, lying on forms, are also federal crimes. But part of the thing that I think all of us need to keep in mind is the fact that 80,000 or 76,000 people in 2012 were rejected as part of the firearms check and not able to buy a firearm, that in and of itself is a victory. That system is working. If you go back to when the Brady Law firearms check first came into effect in 1998, I believe, there have been over 1.5 million potential purposes rejected because a person is prohibited, either by a prior felony or other problems. That's a record of success. We should be proud of that. But there's also no way that the Department of Justice could have prosecuted all 1.5 million people who were rejected over that 15-year purpose. My point, Senator, is this. I'm an enforcement guy. I care about enforcement. I completely agree with you that we need to be enforcing the existing firearms laws. effectively, aggressively, and in a way that protects the public. But I can tell you, when I think about the people in my office who work weekends and nights, send me emails at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning because they are working so hard to enforce these laws, I just have to tell you, I disagree with you. These are line folks, they're career folks. They're not people who are driven by any of the politics that go on. They care deeply about their community.
Madam Chairman, if I can just say, I applaud Mr. Walsh for your commitment to law enforcement. I used to be in your line of work, and I admire people who put their lives at risk every day to either enforce our laws or investigate crimes and prosecute those to the fullest extent of the law. But I don't believe, well, let me just ask, Madam Chairman, if I can ask that the record that I was referring to of the Department of Justice's record of enforcement for weapons prosecutions and background checks prosecutions could be made part of the record, please.
So ordered.
Thank you.